Hello, if you want to watch exclusive lemon content on What If Naruto, then go to my Boosty. The first link in the description here contains such hot stories for adults, such as What If Naruto was a daddy for Sarada, or Kushina and Mikoto Vulgar Naruto mommies. Follow the link and enjoy. I'm waiting for you.
He has created numerous powerful and outstanding ninjas such as Esirama and Tobirama Senju, Irizen Sarutobi, Sekumo Attack, Minato Namika, and many others, legends of the ninja world. Today is a special day for the village, as it celebrates the graduation of the Ninja Academy, where new young ninjas will join. Ninja Academy. It's a bright morning, and the sun is shining at the Ninja Academy, which is full of graduates celebrating their success and parents congratulating for this and encouraging them for their future. A 5-year-old boy watches the scene with an impassive face from a distance. He seems a bit tall for his age, with tan skin, spiky black hair that spreads in all directions, and sky blue eyes that seem to glow. He was wearing ninja sandals, black combat pants, and a black tank top, combat gloves without fingers, and somewhat with a black holster with a silver grip, fastened to the back just above the hips. The most striking details of the boy, besides his sky blue eyes that seem to glow, are the black ninja axe that surrounds his left bicep, and the distinctive red and white fan symbol on the back of his shirt. Why do they celebrate? Don't they know that more than half of these losers will die on the field, and the rest probably won't make it past 20? The ninja way is not for everyone, especially for some idiots who do it for fame and fortune, idiots. The boy thought as he watched the scene with indifference. Hey, look at him, that's the orphan boy who turned out to be an Uchiha, and was adopted by the clan. I can't believe she graduated, and she's only 5. He must be a prodigy, one of the civilians told him. To his friend. Yeah, I've heard he's a genius like no other. I mean, he graduated in just 1 year. Seriously, the only one who is compared to him is the clan's heir, Itachi, who also graduated this year, the other civilian replied. As they continued gossiping among themselves, no one noticing the slight shudder of the child upon hearing that he had been adopted. The boy sighed as he closed his eyes. Yes, I am an orphan. Flashback to a year ago. The boy himself was lying on the ground, his forehead bleeding as he tried to get up. He was staring with red and bloody daggers at the scene in front of him. In front of him was a middle-aged and drunk man who was beating a teenage girl, who was also on the ground crying as the man continued to beat her. How are you doing, you little bitch? When I tell you to do something, you do it, said the man as, drunk, he beat the girl. The boy summoned every ounce of strength in his body as he stood up shakily. Hey, bastard, leave her alone. The boy roared as he charged at the man, but missed when the man kicked him. You're not listening to me, you little prick. Looks like I really need to teach you a lesson, said the drunk man as he approached the boy and took out a crib and, let's see if we can make a little adjustment to that annoying face of yours, said the man as he brought the crib and the child closer. Stop. Stop. The girl screamed as she pulled the man away from the boy. The drunk man dropped the crib, and as he fell, but he got angry at the same time. That's it. I'm going to give it to you now, you little bitch, said the man as he got up and started strangling the girl. The girl tried to defend herself, but she could not free herself. She continued to try to free herself, but slowly stopped. When the lack of oxygen caught up with her, and life slowly left her eyes. The boy watched in horror as the girl he considered his older sister died right in front of him, and he could not save her. I didn't have the power to protect her, no. No, 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 no. The boy thought with despair and rage, and stood up when a new power flooded his body and sat, standing holding the crib and off the floor. The drunk man stopped while looking and realized that the girl was dead. Shit, looks like I'm gonna have to kill the kid. I can't have any witnesses, the man said, but when he turned around, he froze as he stared into the deep, menacing red eyes of the boy with 3 tomes spinning wildly inside them. Die, you bastard, roared the boy as he appeared in front of the man with amazing speed and stabbed the man right in the throat. Blood splattered on the boy's face as the man fell, but the boy did not stop and kept stabbing him repeatedly. Finally, after 5 minutes, the boy stopped stabbing the man, but then stopped, threw the knife, and slowly walked towards the dead girl. Tears were falling freely from the boy's eyes as he looked at the dead girl. Neeson, I'm sorry, I couldn't protect you, I'm sorry. I wasn't strong enough, I'm sorry, the boy said as he held the girl close to his chest and kept asking for forgiveness. End of the flashback. Then the village police found us in that warehouse, and when they saw me with the Sharingan, they took me to the clan chief. And other things happened, and here I am, he thought. The boy, while looking at his left palm and squeezing it. I swear, Nizan, I will never be weak again to protect the ones I love, the boy silently declared as determination burned in his eyes. Congratulations on graduating, the head of the Uchiha clan, Fugaku, spoke as he approached the boy, and together. To Fugaku was his son Itachi Uchiha with his own headband wrapped around his forehead. Thank you, Fugaku Dono, the boy replied as he nodded towards the clan chief. I hope to see your progress, Naruto, Fugaku said as he looked at Naruto with an approving look. Congratulations, Naruto, and I hope we will be selected. On the same team, Itachi spoke while smiling slightly towards Naruto. Thanks and congratulations to you too, Itachi, and it would be nice to be on a team with someone competent. Naruto replied while also giving a slight smile. Actually, unlike other traditional teams where the Okage decides who are paired in a three-man team, your two cases will be different. Since I requested that you two be placed in a two-man team and your sensei will be different members of the Uchiha clan who will teach them in their area of specialization. And any area of the ninja arts they may be interested in. Fugaku said as he looked at the surprised faces of the young genin and mentally smiled. But why? Naruto asked him. You two are simply the most talented ninjas to have appeared in a long time, and the Uchiha clan needs to get back on its feet. That's why I've decided not to waste their time with a mediocre honey and some weak genin holding them back, so I came up with this plan. Fugaku replied as he turned around and left the two genin alone. Well, what a surprise, but a good one. I look forward to working with you, Itachi, Naruto said as he looked at Itachi. Same here, Naruto. The two genin looked at each other and then ran towards the clan compound to start their training as a genin. Time jump October 10th. Damn, today's mission was really close. I didn't think two Ivachunin would attack us, considering the war ended recently, Naruto said as he sat down on a porch and drank some orange juice. They were nuclear ninjas, Naruto, so even if we had captured them, it wouldn't have mattered. But I'm more surprised how you killed your opponent with that lightning move. What was his name again? Hitachi replied as he drank some tea and sat down next to Naruto, and he was relaxing. Naruto smiled as he held his right index and middle finger and pointed it towards a tree. And sparks of electricity started to gather around his fingers. He called it penetrating light, and just as he said that, a ray of electricity shot out of his fingers and went through the tree easily, leaving a burning hole in the middle. Itachi raised an eyebrow, interested in the move that his rival Bara Amigo just used. It's quite useful. Who taught you that? Actually, I did it myself, since you are doing fire nature manipulation training. I'm doing the lightning, and, as you can see, it's going pretty well, but it still doesn't have enough punching power. So I'm still working on it. But wouldn't it be better if you used it with manual seals? That way it will be easier to control. And you will be able to increase its power, Itachi asked confused. You may be right, but not that. It will make me dependent on hand seals, and that takes time that I can't afford to waste in a battle, but not only that. If I can master jutsu without hand seals, or at least reduce it to a very small number of seals. Manuals, I can be much more efficient in battle, and finally my control will be triggered. About the elements, and mastered their use without hand seals, Naruto replied, as his right hand began to become covered with lightning. You're right, but that will take time, but you always choose the most difficult, Itachi said, amused by his rival's response. Naruto smiled. It's not funny if it's not funny. The two rivals continued chatting together until a wave of absolute power and terror swept over them, and just then, a powerful roar shook the village as screams could be heard everywhere. What was that? Itachi asked as he jumped to the top of the house and saw something that left him freezing. In the middle of the village, there was a huge crimson fox with 9 tails destroying everything in its path. Naruto was also surprised by the sight in front of him, but he quickly got out of his amazement and looked at his rival. Listen, Itachi, we have to get everyone to safety. You bring your family and take them to the security bunker, and me. I'll bring Lucia civil, because if that thing decides to attack here, we'll be dead, so move along. Itachi nodded and both boys ran towards their goals as fast as possible so that they could save as many lives as possible. Later, when the boys had finished their work, they were now watching from a safe distance the fight between the Yondaime Okage and the nine-tailed fox. Although the guys only saw a few glimpses of the fight, they were stunned that the Okage could stop a monster like that. "Hi, you two all have orders to go to the front of the Okage Tower. It seems that it is mandatory. Especially for the ninjas, so move along," a random ninja said as he walked past the guys. "I wonder what the big announcement is, and I hope the Yondaime is okay," Naruto said, as he started to jump off the roof to reach his destination. "We'll know when we get there, so let's get moving," he said. Itachi and both boys increased their speed in front of the Okage Tower. Almost everyone in the village is gathered around the Okage Tower, all anticipating the news of the Okage and all whispering to each other. At the top of the Okage Tower, the Sandaime Okage Irizen Sarutobi arrived and waited for a moment while everyone was calming down and waiting for your announcement, people of Konoha. I have serious news as today when the nine-tailed fox attacked our village and was defeated by the Yondaime. But he had to sacrifice his life to seal the fox inside this newborn child, and his last wish was that this child be seen as ours. The savior said the third cage, and everyone was silent for a while. No one made any sound until murder roars were heard to kill the child or kill the demon while he was weak, or finish what the Yondaime started. This continued until the Sandaime declared a law of that rank to keep this incident secret from the younger generation. And if anyone broke it, he would be instantly executed without trial. Everyone was silent after that. No one could go against a law like the one made by the Okage. Later, both Naruto and Itachi were walking back towards the Uchiha complex, and both were quietly as they processed the new information. The nine-tailed fox attacked the village. The Yondaime sealed the fox inside a newborn child, but sacrificed his life. The village suffered heavy losses, both financial and military, as well. Everyone hates the child who unknowingly maintains the village safe and sound. "What do you think about the girl who put the fox inside?" Naruto asked as he almost reached the Uchiha enclosure, which seemed to be fine as the fox was nothing. So the enclosure came out of the attack unscathed. Itachi was silent for a moment before answering. "We owe him our lives. I don't see why the other villagers are acting so stupid about it. They should trust the Yondaime and his sealing skills, since he was famous for that after all." Naruto nodded. "Yes, but it can't be helped. Everyone is blinded by anger and sadness for now. I just hope they realize soon that that girl is not the fox and don't do anything stupid." "Yes, I hope so too, but I wonder what will happen in the future now," Itachi asked. "Things are definitely going to change," Naruto replied as he looked up at the full moon. Chapter 1. Heredity and Chunin Exams. A year has passed since the attack of the Kyugi, and the village is still recovering and struggling to regain its former strength. The ninjas have to work overtime so that the other villages and customers don't think that the village has been weakened. Okage Tower. Inside the main meeting room. From the Okage Tower, the members of the village council await the arrival of the Okage. The council consists of two parts: the Shinobi Council, formed by the clan chiefs, and mainly responsible for shinobi affairs of its own members, and the Civil Council, composed of civilians who deal with financial problems of the village. Although during the reign of the first Okage, there were no councils because they were considered unnecessary. This changed when the second Okage decided that, while it would benefit the village, he granted them minimal power, and also imposed order on the people. However, all this changed in the last years of the Terror. Zero Kage, who, foolishly, granted the council many rights and powers, which made many of them greedy and corrupt. Today, the council is only a shadow of what it once was, where before the members worked for the town to prosper. But now it is full of corrupt, hungry, power-hungry people who just want to line their pockets. The Okage entered the room, and everyone stood up as a sign of respect. "Okay, let's start today's meeting. Okage-sama, we have evaluated all the quest reports, and we are sad to report that the village receives minor quests every week. Even though the ninjas work overtime, if this continues like this, the status of our village will drastically reduce, and some of the other villages might even attack us. We must do something to ensure the power of our village before the daimyo and the other villages," said Shikaku Nara, head of the Nara clan, and the village's war strategist. The third Kage sighed at the news, "So I've listened to Shikaku, and it seems that making the ninjas work even harder won't help. So we must find another solution to this problem. So I ask all of you, do any of you have any ideas or suggestions? Everyone was silent at the question, thinking about how to get out of this mess. May I, Okage-sama? Fugaku asked, and everyone looked at him to see what he could offer. Yes, go ahead, Fugaku replied the Okage-sama. You said that our problem is that everyone believes that our village has been weakened due to the loss of many of our ninjas for the Kirugi incident, and as much as we try, we can't hide this fact either, so I think we should show them that what we lack in numbers we more than make up for in quality, Fugaku said, and everyone say. They were interested in what he had just said. Mum, it's an interesting proposal, but do you plan to demonstrate it? The old man asked Okage while rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Fugaku smiled a little. It's simple really. I think the first Chunin exams are held in Kumo, and we send to extremely powerful genin to eliminate the competition. Then he will prove that Konoha has not fallen. Everyone raised an eyebrow at that, but it was Yashi Yuga, the head of the Yuga clan, who asked the question everyone wanted to answer. To's genin. I think the standard is 3 genin everywhere, and who do you suggest for exams? It would be me, my son Itachi, and a member of my Naruto clan, who are unparalleled prodigies, and I have tried them myself. And I can say that they are both easily of high Chunin level. Now, if we send them and everyone sees that 2 genin of only 6 years old destroy the competition, then it will be a clear message. That Konoha is not something that can be played with, Fu replied. And everyone found the idea quite good and logical, considering that both guys were famous for graduating so early and setting a record. That's a very interesting proposal. If everyone agrees, Naruto and Itachi Uchiha will be sent to participate in the Kumo Chunin exams. The Okage asked after some thought, and everyone agreed immediately, as there were no better solutions. Very well then, Fugaku, you have 1 month to prepare the boys for the exams, because then they will have to go to Kumo for the exams. So use your time wisely and good luck, he said. The Okage while Fugaku felt, and everyone started to leave as they were dismissed. The training camp of the Uchiha complex. Naruto and Itachi were training using only taijutsu, and had been at it for quite some time. From a distance, anyone who is an expert in taijutsu will be able to distinguish the type of style that both boys were using. While Itachi's style seems to be based on speed, and fast and precise punches and blocks, Naruto's was very different, as he was made to balance speed and power and was made to attack all vital points of the upper body with precision and power, lethal while dodging or deflecting any blow to his own body. The boys continued until they were interrupted by Itachi's father. The Chunin exams. Are you sure we're ready, Fugakudo, aren't you? Naruto asked. Yes, I do. I was right when I got the 2 of you to be instructed by fellow Uchiha, and your skill has improved a lot in all the ninja arts. But now you both have to choose a specific training in which you want improve, as they only have a month, and I think it would be better if they had a trump card for exams just in case. Fugaku said, and waited while both boys thought about it. Father, although I know I haven't mastered the fire element yet, I would like to work on my affinity with water. To have a backup element in case someone manages to counter my fire jutsu, Hitachi finally replied after minutes of thinking. Fugaku nodded and looked at Naruto. You will also be working on a different element. Naruto shook his head. No, I'm confident that I can survive with my lightning and fire jutsus, but I want to work on my kenjutsu, as I haven't had enough time to reach an acceptable level, and I could use working with a kenjutsu specialist. Fugaku felt. They have both made smart choices, so I will arrange instructors for both of them, and they will start their training immediately. Time jump. A month had quickly passed, and Naruto and Itachi had trained non-stop in that time. After they finished, they traveled to Kumo with an ambo, in case they had to fight with someone outside of their league. Finally, after traveling 4 days, the 2 young Uchiha arrived in Kumogakure no Sato, and had to admit that it was an impressive village that was located in the mountains. After entering the village and passing the security and identification checks, they headed to the designated building for the first part of the exam. The first part of the exam was extremely easy for them, since it was an information gathering test, where they had to steal documents of the other genes without any supervisor discovering them. It was easy considering they could easily steal from the weaker teams with the help of some genjutsu without even realizing it. Then came the second part of the exams. According to the prosecutor, this is a survival test. Genin teams must protect the scroll they receive while destroying the scroll from another team. In addition, they must survive in the harsh mountain range, full of dangerous animals and with fewer food and water resources, which forces the teams to fight for them. In addition, they must prove their success by destroying another scroll. If a team loses their scroll or damages it, they will also be disqualified. This exam will last for 5 days, after which the surviving teams will be able to move on to the next part. It's okay, Itachi. Looks like we're going to have to finish off one team as fast as possible, and then disappear with the rest. And collect food and water so we can survive, Naruto said as Itachi were running quickly through the forest. Do you have any plans in mind to eliminate a team as quickly as possible without revealing any of our techniques? Itachi asked. Naruto smiled as he activated his 3-tome Sharingan. And I don't always do that, Itachi. Well, let's hear it, Itachi asked. And Naruto began to explain his plan. In another part of the forest, there was a group of 12-year-old Genin Mizu who were jumping between the trees and preparing to be able to attack a team soon. Damn, looks like it's our lucky day, guys. We found those Konoha babies so early, one of the Genin said as he looked at the clearing in front of them and saw Naruto and Itachi sitting near the base of a tree. Yes, let's just destroy that scroll they have and be done with it, another Genin replied. The 3 Genin headed towards Naruto and Itachi, who did not notice their presence until they jumped in front of them. Hey, you Konoha brats, how about you give us that scroll of yours and we won't hurt you too much, said the leader of the 3 Genin while smiling at them. No way, this scroll is ours, we're not giving it to you, Naruto stammered as he pulled out a crib and stood up shakily. Itachi was not having the best time as he was trying to stand up bravely. Mizu's Genin smiled smugly at the cowering children. Listen, we don't want to hurt you, so be good kids and give us the scroll, the leader said as he and his teammates approached Konoha's Genin, and the leader grabbed Naruto by the neck while fulminating him with the. She looked to intimidate him, but frowned when she saw Naruto smiling smugly. What's so funny, brat? The leader asked him. Guys, Naruto replied as he exploded in an explosion of electricity, blowing up the Genin Mizu, while giving him first-degree burns and electrocuting them at the same time. The Mizu Genin couldn't think about what was happening around them. 1 second, they were about to get a scroll from some weak kids, but the next one of them explodes and electrocutes them. Well, look what we have here, Itachi. A couple of men who will be dead soon, Naruto said as he climbed out of the trees with his active Sharingan. And a creepy dark smile on his face that would make any man shudder with fear, and it didn't help that he had his so unsheathed. True, but I wonder if they are smart enough and save themselves from that fate, Hidekisa said. He also came out from the top of a tree, from the opposite direction to Naruto, and also had his Sharingan. What? How did you do that? The leader of the Genin asked him. Naruto smiled smugly. Easy, it was my shadow clone, lightning explosion. It's a variation of the Shadow Blast Jutsu with the lightning element added, and its main purpose is paralysis. Pretty good, right? It's my own creation, you know. I don't think telling people who will die will do you any good, Naruto, Itachi said, and Naruto's smile turned in a grimace. I guess you're right, then let's get started, Naruto asked as he approached. The Genin tried to move their bodies, but it was useless. Their bodies just didn't respond, all their limbs were numb, and they couldn't look away from those evil eyes. Blood red. Wait a minute. Take our scroll, and let us live. We promise not to bother you again. Please, let us live, the leader shouted, and the other 2 Genin seemed about to cry. It was their first Chunin exam, and, after 9 C-rank missions, they believed it would be eaten. They never imagined facing someone so dangerous. And, of course, it didn't help that they were only 6 years old, and their gloomy looks made everything worse. Naruto frowned. Okay, but if we see you again, then his face took on a murderous look, and the murderous intent that he was releasing was like dropping 20 pounds on their heads. I will break you. Those words made the Genin know that this was a person you shouldn't mess with under any circumstances. and the look in his eyes practically screamed that there are worse things than a simple death. The genin were stripped of their scroll and left to rot, paralyzed in the clearing. Did you have to scare them so much? It looked like they were about to pee, Itachi asked after they moved a safe distance away from the defeated genin. Fear is a powerful tool, Itachi. If used correctly, we can achieve many things. I didn't want them to seek revenge for beating them. Remember that if your scroll gets damaged, you are disqualified, Naruto replied, and Itachi nodded. One of your life lessons, Naruto, Itachi asked. Yes, Naruto replied after a pause. It was no secret that Naruto didn't talk much about his life before he was adopted, and Itachi suspected that something traumatic had happened to him. In addition, he hated those who abused their power and played with the lives of others. Naruto had very few friends, and that was him and his mother. To the rest of the world, it showed. Apathetic or neutral. The rest of the exam passed pretty quickly. Both boys stayed away from the other teams and had gathered enough food and water to last them 4 or 5 days. Although the only good thing that came out of this exam were the multiple earth, water and lightning jutsu that they could have copied of the other genin who fought each other. Naruto was excited. He had just gotten multiple jutsu for his repertoire and couldn't wait to try them out. The exam ended soon and 6 teams had passed, but as the number was large, it was decided that a knockout round would be held before the final part. End of the exams, and because of this, only 16 genin participated in the knockout rounds, as some genin were too tired to fight and lost. The clashes made many interesting genin win, although the ones that caught Naruto's attention were 2 blondes, a boy and the other. Another a girl, and they both looked like they were 10 years old. The blonde guy looked like a typical pretty boy who could pass for a girl, and his long ponytail hairstyle didn't help. He was wearing black combat pants, a maroon shirt, a matching headband around his forehead, and 2 small open bags to his belt. The blonde girl was very pretty for her age. Her figure showed that she had trained a lot, and she was wearing black pants, a long-sleeved blue shirt with a gray vest, and she kept her hair up in a ponytail with a headband, like around his forehead. Both had won their matches quite easily. The blonde boy, whose name was Deidara, won his match by using exploding clay and turning them into spiders and surrounding his opponent, and forcing him to surrender unless they wanted to be added to his art. Needless to say, his opponent gave up quickly. The rupee girl named Yujitoni also had an interesting match, as she practically outclassed her opponent with her great speed and fire jutsu. Finally, Hitachi ended his match by putting his opponent in a genjutsu through the Sharingan and won. The match screen flashed again and showed Naruto versus Darui. Alright genin, go to the arena and get started, Proctor said, and Naruto got ready to face his opponent, who was a genin Kumo. His opponent, who was also only 10 years old, was wearing the traditional Kumo costume. Black pants, black t-shirt, gray vest and gray ninja sandals. She had blonde hair and dark brown eyes. All right, let's get started, Proctor shouted, and both genin prepared to evaluate each other. Neither of them made a move until Naruto started throwing shuriken at Darui. Darui easily dodged him by jumping to the side, but had to curse when his opponent started performing hand seals. Lightning release. Electric bullet, Naruto said as he shot a lightning ball from his mouth. But he was surprised to see that his jutsu was intercepted by the same attack, and he was overcome by it. Naruto had to jump to avoid being hit by the jutsu. That is a Kumo jutsu that is taught to the genin. You copied it on the survival test, didn't you? Darui, who was on the other side of the arena, asked towards Naruto. Yes, then. I'm more surprised that my jutsu was surpassed by yours. How is that possible? If it was the same jutsu, Naruto asked with melted and a little angry, but I disguise it well. Your famous Sharingan may be able to see chakra and copy jutsus, but your body cannot copy chakra control. Even if you know the jutsu, it won't matter if your opponent knows it better than you, and this proves that your dojutsu is not perfect. Ah, Darui asked with some pride. Naruto was surprised that he hadn't been taught that, even if he could copy any jutsu, it would be useless, as he wouldn't be able to use it at full power instantly due to his lack of control. I have to have my chakra under complete control. It is my power, and I am its master. So it is logical for me to master its control, and from now on I have to be careful which jutsu I use. Because using a half jutsu will kill me, he thought. Naruto and promised himself. I see. Thanks for making me realize my mistake, and that's why I'm going to end this quickly, and with my own jutsu. Naruto said with a neutral face. He landed his tanto, and the rays began to cover the sword. Don't think it's going to be easy, I plan to win this too, you know. Darui said while taking out a kune. Then let's finish this, Naruto said as he ran forward, and Darui did the same. And when they were 2 meters away from each other, Naruto. He activated his Sharingan, and Darui made the mistake of looking him in the eye, and that was it. Darui's body was completely paralyzed, and he couldn't move after seeing those red eyes. Damn genjutsu, Darui thought, angry with himself for forgetting that fact. Naruto had stopped in front of Darui, and had his tanto held close to Darui's neck, and the supervisor ended the match. Don't be disappointed that you lost, you were much better than the other genin in the exams. And I'm sure you can move up if you try again next year, Naruto said as he walked away without noticing Darui's smile. Damn, that's a cool kid, the third Raikage said when he saw the fight. After the heats, the Raikage gave a speech about the real purpose of the Chunin exams, which according to Naruto was pretty stupid. The final rounds were decided. 1 round. Naruto vs. Deidara. 2nd round. Yujito vs. Aiki. 3rd round. Yuki vs. Fusei. 4th round. Itachi vs. Sora. And the genin were given a month to prepare for the exams they used to train for. The month had passed quickly for Naruto and Itachi, and both of them had trained intensely. While Itachi was striving to improve his taijutsu and genjutsu, Naruto had tried his hardest with chakra control exercises. As he possessed a high Captain Ambu level chakra, and the most powerful chakra in history. He had a lot of work ahead of him, but he succeeded. He reached the average level of chakra control of a Honin and strove to improve his speed. The day of the final exams arrived, and the arena was full of spectators. And many important figures had come like the daimyo and the Okage, Kazakage and Tsuchikage. The supervisor welcomed everyone to the arena and started by listing the matches. And finally naming the names of the wrestlers who were Naruto and Deidara. Both genin were facing each other, staring at each other, and Deidara smiled. Well, now you're ready to get your ass kicked, little Uchiha. Asked Deidara, trying to irritate Naruto. But it seemed useless since Naruto looked at him with a bored look. Great talk, coming from a little girl playing with mud, Naruto said and inwardly smiled at the angry look on Deidara's face. That's right, you little idiot. I'm going to kill you for that comment. Deidara exclaimed, sticking her hands in their bags, taking out their detonating bird, clay, and throwing it at Naruto. I hope you like art, because art is a blast. Deidara said with joy and a little madness, waiting to see how his art developed, but was surprised when Naruto moved his arm in a cutting motion, and his clay. It was destroyed halfway through. That was not possible, Deidara thought, until she saw sparks of electricity in the air. What was that? Deidara asked, surprised and a little nervous, as he was a long-range fighter, and if Naruto found a way to defeat his style, then this fight would be over. Finished. Naruto smiled smugly. That's my last move, lightning sword cut. And while he was saying that, the lightning gathered around his right hand and advanced, and took the shape of a sword around his hand. Pretty cool, huh? I can control its scope and size, which makes it in the best move to destroy your little mud toys before they can reach me, Naruto explained. And, although Deidara should have been a little afraid since his opponent could counter him, he was more enraged by the fact that Naruto was making fun of him and his art, and that was unforgivable in his book. I don't care about your move, you made a fucking joke, and now I'm going to make you face the consequences, Deidara said. As she started shooting different kinds of detonating clay animals like spiders, snakes, and birds, but they were useless against Naruto, as he simply destroyed them before they could reach him. I think it's time to finish this before you come up with a different plan, Naruto said as he disappeared from Deidara's sight. She panicked at not being able to find her opponent, but it was too late when she felt a sword on his neck, and saw Naruto holding his tanto against his neck. See, how did you do? Deidara asked in a daze. Easy, the second move I created, which I call Flash Step, allows me to move at high speeds, and now it's over. Naruto replied with a smile, and the supervisor ended the game, making Naruto the victor, and the crowd applauded. The following matches were not so special, as Yujito and Tachi Fusei won their matches and the semifinal started. The supervisor started the encounter, and both Genin studied each other before Yujito charged forward and started throwing a shower of punches and kicks at Naruto, who simply dodged. He deflected the attacks, and this continued for 5 minutes, where no matter how hard Yujito tried, he couldn't hit Naruto, who was stronger, faster, and had a much better technique. Naruto was getting bored, as Yujito couldn't land any punches on him, while he was giving her some very destructive upper body punches. And she was slowing down, a sign that he was running out of resistance. Naruto eventually punched Yujito in the face, which sent her flying 2 meters backwards. "You should give up since you're over here," Naruto said, and when Yujito saw Naruto's face, his blood boiled since his face showed that he was bored, as if she wasn't even worth his time, and that made her very angry. The audience was stunned when Yujito was covered with a blue chakra cloak and her brown eyes turned blue with slits. But Naruto was even more surprised when she disappeared from sight in a burst of speed, and she appeared in front of him with her fist back and hit him, which sent him flying backwards. While Naruto was quickly rolling on the ground and getting up, he rushed forward with flash step and tried to fight Yujito. But it was useless since she was incredibly stronger and faster, and he just couldn't keep up with her even though he tried to use flash step, and even his Sharingan wasn't helping, as his body couldn't react fast enough to stop the attacks of Yujito and let him perform long-range jutsu. Damn, there has to be a way to turn this fight around, Naruto thought as he tried to block Yujito's punches, and was sent backwards by a hook to the jaw. "Give up?" Yujito said with his 2-height Viju cape to Naruto, who was bleeding on the ground. "Damn, this is my limit. Even if I lose, I will not fall fighting because I will never give up." Naruto thought with extreme determination, stood up, and looked at Yujito angrily. "Don't you dare tell me to give up." Naruto roared, and his body was flooded with chakra again, and his right arm felt like it was on fire. When she pointed her right palm at Yujito, a sky blue chakra chain shot out at her with super speed. And the surprised Yujito couldn't act fast enough to dodge it while the chain was. He was wrapping tightly around himself, and his Viju cloak started to disappear. Naruto himself was surprised at what he had just done, as he thought he was just an Uchiha, but the power he was using right now was an Uzumaki bloodline, and his mind started to wander if one of his parents was Uzumaki, while the other Uchiha but quickly stopped, as he had a fight to win and his body was hurting too. Yujito's Viju cloak had disappeared only after a few moments, and her chakra was being suppressed. Things couldn't get any worse for her just when she was so close to winning. "Well, do you give up?" Naruto asked, and Yujito wanted to say no, but he couldn't as she had lost after being trapped by her chakra chains. After a minute, Yujito sighed and gave up, and Naruto was announced as the winner, and the crowd was stunned. Even the Hokage was surprised since he didn't think Naruto would be part Uzumaki, but that did explain his incredible reserves of chakra and resistance. After the Itachi vs Fusei match, it was Naruto vs Itachi, and everyone was eagerly waiting to see the fight between the two prodigies. Itachi looked at Naruto and smiled a little. "I almost thought you were going to lose back there." Naruto smiled smugly. "I promised, didn't I, that we would meet in the final exams? Well, you should know by now that I always keep my promises." "Yeah, I guess I'll be doubting you from now on, but all that aside, I think we have a game to play." "You have the right. We shouldn't let me wait any longer," and with that said prosecutor, both boys lost. Everyone was shocked because it was the game most expected of all, and they lost. The boos could be heard all over the stadium because of the disappointment. Silence. Reikikage roared, and everyone quickly fell silent. Why did they fight? The Reikikage asked him, and even the Hokage wanted to know why we came here to represent Konoha and not. "We don't fight with comrades with the intention of killing in Konoha, so we go ahead as we have shown enough of what Konoha ninjas are." Both guys answered together, and the respect of the Reikikage and the daimyo for Konoha. He grew up, and the third kage expert in young genin, it seems that the will of the fire burns strong mind inside their hearts, and they have certainly earned their rank of chunin, the third thought. As for the crowd, It erupted into cheers and applause for the genin, with such camaraderie and skill. Well, it looks like they are going to add the title of youngest chunin to our names as well, Itachi said with amusement in his voice. And this is just the beginning. Chapter 2. Sealed, Perverts and Ninja Quirks. Cough, cough, fucking stupid seals, Naruto said while trying to breathe normally due to the smoke caused by the seal malfunction. That exploded in his face. Although he was lucky that it was not very strong. It's been 6 months since the Chunin exams, and now 7-year-old Naruto Uchiha, who found out he's also in Uzumaki, is working on mastering the sealing arts. I guess it was another failure, Hitachi asked as he entered Naruto's apartment at once. And he had a funny expression on his face, usually emotionless, and he looked around the living room. The apartment was in the Uchiha district and was quite big for a 2-room apartment, with a medium-sized kitchen, 2 well-equipped bathrooms, and a good-sized living room with practical furniture and with. Fugaku gave the apartment to Naruto as a gift when he graduated from the academy. While orphaned or poor clan members usually had modest housing, Naruto was a special case, as he was a prodigy, and the clan wanted him to be comfortable. So they got him the best possible apartment. Although now the living room was a complete mess and the room was full of smoke. Really, what the hell did you think it was? Naruto asked, somewhat irritated at continuing to ruin his new resistance seals. I dunno, maybe you finally found your gift girl, Itachi replied, amused by the situation. Of his rival. Really? Do you really think I have a fetish for blowing myself to pieces now? Naruto asked, irritated by Itachi's funny face. Now there is no need to get angry, Naruto, and besides, many ninjas have strange peculiarities, like the Anin for example, who are famous for being perverts, converts, drunks or mad scientists, although I guess it comes with power, since as they say, power and madness go hand in hand. Although it's up to us what kind of madness or quirk we get, Hitachi replied mischievously. Naruto smiled as if Duden was going to collect cat paw prints. Itachi had a surprised expression for a second before it disappeared, and was replaced by an irritated one. May I ask how you found out? I was walking around the district when I saw you with Shisui doing something, and I was curious, since you don't spend much time with him. Then I saw them taking cat prints seriously. Itachi? Naruto asked with a smile, and mentally congratulated himself for embarrassing Itachi. Itachi coughed to pull himself together. Well, moving on, it seems that you can't really get better at Fuinjutsu without a proper teacher or books. And since the clan is limited in the subject, I suggest you convince Hiraya from the Sannin to teach you, since he is the only remaining stamp master in Konoha after all, and Tachi kindly advised, and Naruto sighed as he thought about his options. As he couldn't find books on the subject, and working alone wasn't giving him good results. You will need a suitable teacher if you want. Master the art, and Jiraiya is the only person who can help him. Looks like I'm going to hunt Sannin. Well, any tips on how to find that guy, since he travels a lot, or how to convince him? Naruto asked while looking at Itachi. Well, you could ask the third Kage to give you a mission with Jiraiya, and you can convince him along the way. Thanks, Itachi, I think I will, Naruto said as he prepared to depart for the Okage Tower. Tower of Okage. Irizen Sarutobi sighed as he looked at the young ninja in front of him. So you want to learn Hiraya Fuinjutsu, and to do that you want to go to the next mission. Let him start with him. Naruto simply nodded. Yes, Okage, I do it because it's the right thing to do. I have mastered the art that my clan was famous for. The third Okage nodded. Well, that's true, and from your quest log, I guess you can go on an rank quest now, but I doubt. Have Hiraya teach you, as he is very adamant about not having any more students after the fourth Okage dies. However, Naruto did not hesitate. You don't have to take me as your apprentice, just teach me Fuinjutsu, Okage Dono. Well, you can convince him of that yourself anyway. I'll book you 4 when I get back, so don't take any missions, and when I get back you can go on the mission. Naruto nodded stoically and apologized, but inside he was very excited, as he couldn't wait to start mastering Fuinjutsu. A week later, Naruto is waiting at the gate entrance. Main gate of the village with her girl team, and is waiting patiently and casually leaning on a wall. He had received the news that Hiraya had returned and had been tasked with the mission of spying on one of Konoha's important food merchants, suspected of treason, and finding out if he was planning treason. Betray Konoha or worse, ally with another hidden village. It was a simple but important mission, because if the merchant was not going to betray them, then it was fine, but if he did, then his life would be lost, because if he sides with another village secretly, and then sends food, poisoned or altered, then the village would suffer, which was not acceptable. So here he was patiently waiting for one of the Sannin and mentally preparing himself for any situation in the mission, and thinking of ways to convince the Sannin to teach him Fuinjutsu. He did not have to wait any longer, as an energetic and curious voice performed. It broke his thoughts. Well, then you're the wonderkind I've been hearing about, and it looks like we're going to be working on the same team, huh? Jiraiya asked as she looked at Naruto and watched him in silence. Huh, the kid looks like he trains hard, and the expression on his face tells me that he has killed before. So he won't be a hindrance, and it seems the rumors were true. He's not arrogant or smug like the rest of his clan. And that puts him on my list of acceptable, Jiraiya thought, assessing the young Chunin. Hi Jiraiya Dono, it's nice to finally meet you, and yes, it looks like we will work together on this mission, and I hope that to be able to learn a lot from you in this mission, Naruto replied while nodding towards Jiraiya. Damn, I wish all children were this respectful, Jiraiya thought as he smiled at the polite Chunin. I'm glad to hear that, and I also heard that you were looking for me to teach you Fuinjutsu, right? Jiraiya asked while looking at Naruto and waiting for his answer. Yes, that's right, Jiraiya Dono, and I would appreciate if you could teach me, Naruto replied and waited anxiously for an answer. Jiraiya sighed. Look, child, what a great prodigy, and what a polite child you are. I just don't want to have another apprentice now. Same. Naruto sighed at the answer. I understand, Jiraiya Dono, but you don't have to make me your apprentice. I just want to learn Fuinjutsu from you. And if you don't have time for that, then I ask you to at least lend me some books or tips you might have, Naruto begged. And Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at the request. Since most Uchiha, even the most modest, would not stoop to begging anyone. Well, damn it, kid, why do you want to learn Fuinjutsu? Jiraiya asked the young man perplexedly. As you know, Ufujo was destroyed in the Second Great Shinobi War, and so was the Uzumaki clan. And most think that the clan is extinct, but it's not like that, since they lived through me, and that's why I want to learn Fuinjutsu. So I can honor the memory of my clan, Naruto replied with passion and determination in every word, and Jiraiya sighed upon hearing the answer. Do you really know how to convince someone, kid? And besides, Fuinjutsu was practically created by the Uzumaki clan, so it's only fair that an Uzumaki should master it. Besides, I will be even more famous when it is known that I trained another genius, Jiraiya replied truthfully at first, but boastfully at the end as he praised himself for his amazing abilities of teaching. Naruto felt relieved and excited at the answer. Then you will teach me. Yeah, I guess so, kid. Come on, we have a mission to fulfill, so let's move. I'll teach you some things along the way, Jiraiya replied, and both ninjas headed towards their mission. Later, after 2 days of traveling, both ninjas met at the designated village where their target was to have a meeting. It's okay, looks like we arrived on time, so we'll split up, boy, Jiraiya said, and Naruto got confused. Okay, but what are we going to do here? Naruto asked, and the perverted smile on Jiraiya's face certainly didn't make him feel good about the answer. Well, try to find the target in your own way, and I will find it by doing a little research around the city. And we will meet after 4 hours in the village square, Jiraiya replied and accelerated like that. To your destination. Naruto sighed as he looked at the direction Jiraiya was heading. I do not know what he is doing, but I am curious about what he is doing, and I might learn something, so I might as well follow him. And so Naruto stealthily followed Jiraiya, and then was disappointed to find him going to a brothel and having sex. Is this guy really a Sannin? I don't know whether to be disappointed or worried that he's teaching me, Naruto thought, and left the place. After Naruto arrived at the village square, he went to the tallest building and surveyed the area. Well, this place is pretty big, but there could only be a handful of places in which the target could set up a secret meeting, so he should start exploring the area in search of enemies or the target itself. Naruto thought, and silently created 12 shadow clones that ran in different directions, with their orders already given mentally, and ran to do their job. After half an hour, Naruto decided to look around the city and explore, since his clones can do explorations by themselves. So he walked around the market district in an eng. He kept walking and looking around with some interest at all the foreign things he hadn't seen before, but he stopped and looked. He looked in the direction of a melodious tone coming from a store and started walking towards it, and came across an old man playing a musical instrument that he did not recognize. The old man kept playing until he finished his melody, and then he looked at Naruto and smiled. "Well, it seems that someone appreciates my music. Excuse me, sir, and what instrument is that you're playing?" Naruto asked, and the old man smiled. "Well, my young friend, this is a flute and my favorite among all the instruments," the old man replied, as he pointed out all the different musical instruments in his tent, and Naruto was fascinated as he looked around the tent. "Well, from the expression on your face, I would say that you are interested in buying one," the old man asked, and received a simple nod from the still fascinated Naruto. "Yes, I do, but I don't know which one to learn to play as they all look really nice," I asked Naruto. And he got confused when the old man put his hand on his shoulder. And when he turned, he was surprised to see the old man directing him to a row of different instruments. "Well, I know how to play a little bit of everything here, so how about I play each one a little? And you decide which one catches your attention the most," the old man said, and Naruto nodded foolishly, and after a while the old man played different instruments. Naruto decided that the flute was the one for him. "Well, it's a good choice, since you can play any kind of melody. But I want to ask you why you want to learn to play an instrument." "People would rather listen to music than play it," the old man asked him. Naruto waited a few moments to reply. "Well, how can I put it? There are not many musicians in my village, and when I heard you play, the music calmed me down, so I want to learn to play it. Because it relaxes me a lot, but strangely it also excites me," Naruto replied, a little confused at his own answer. And the old man nodded wisely. "Yeah, well, it looks like you found your gift, girl. Congratulations, by the way," the old man said. And Naruto, to his credit, didn't even flinch. "And what makes you think I'm a Mr. Girl?" Naruto asked with a hidden edge and prepared himself in case the man was an enemy. "Enemy?" But the old man simply raised his arm in a gesture of surrender. "Relax, young man, I'm not a ninja. I only know this because I've met many ninja in my life, and they've told me their stories. And believe me, I recognize a ninja quirk when I see one, but I must say that yours is relatively normal in comparison." With the others, the old man and Naruto relaxed a bit, but still kept their guard up. "Well, okay, then I'll just buy this and go." "Didn't you see me, understood, old man?" Naruto asked with a cutting tone, and the old man just smiled. "Well, okay, then it will be 5,000 roll, and I will give you an instruction manual, so you can start learning soon for free." And so Naruto took his flute, his book, and left the place. Later, after Naruto arrived at a secluded area, he started reading his book as his shadow clones were still exploring. And he could take a break. So, playing the flute for fools, huh? After a few hours, his shadow clones scattered, and he got the memories and smiled. It seemed that his clones found the merchant and followed him to the meeting area, and he was about to start in an hour. And that was more than enough time to get Jiraiya and head there. After finding Jiraiya and telling him that he had found the target and the meeting area, he mentally smiled at the surprised and approving look Jiraiya gave him. "Looks like the meeting is about to start," Naruto said to Jiraiya, as they both hid in the shadows and couldn't being detected thanks to Jiraiya's camouflage jutsu. "Yeah, but let's hope this guy doesn't break the contract with Konoha, or we'll have to kill him," Jiraiya said. And Naruto sighed as he never understood why people were so greedy and power-hungry when they didn't need it. After the beginning and the development of the meeting, Naruto was disappointed to see that the merchant had decided to ally with Iwa and send counterfeit merchandise to Konoha just for money. Had he not thought about his actions? Would hundreds, if not thousands, of people not die or suffer because of their greed? And why is that? Money. Naruto was disgusted that this world was so corrupted, but he sighed and decided to end the mission by impaling the man with his lightning spear. The man's bodyguards were quickly taken care of by Jiraiya, but the 4 Iwa men took the opportunity to move away from the area. But Naruto and Jiraiya chased after them, and on the way decided to take the fight to the outskirts of the city, as civilians could be injured in the crossfire. Forest outside the city. The chase ended after the Iwa Honen were forced to confront Jiraiya in the forest outside the city. There were 4 Honen, and 3 of them charged and faced Jiraiya, while the other one decided to eliminate Naruto. but was surprised when Naruto was able to match him and keep up with him. You seem to have some skill for a brat, but I have to help my friends fight the Anin, so I'll finish this fight, the Iwa Honen said, as he pulled a katana from his back and charged at Naruto with the. He intended to decapitate him, but failed when his katana was blocked with Naruto's goal. The honey quickly retreated and charged again, but his attacks were answered with fierce counterattacks that left very few openings and almost cut him low several times. Damn, I don't have enough time. It's okay, brat, let's see if you can match me now, the irritated honey said as Kai screamed, and then disappeared in a burst of speed. Naruto was surprised to see the man's speed increase drastically, but he was even more surprised that he didn't even. Not even his quick step could help him regain the advantage in the fight, and he was forced to use his Sharingan, so as not to get his head chopped off. Oh, so you're from the Uchiha clan, huh? Well, even your eyes can't save you from my superior speed, kid, the man boasted, and Naruto mentally cursed his lucky for not being able to make his resistance seals before the mission, and now it was costing him dearly. I need to make some distance between us and come up with a plan, Naruto taught as he quickly took a good step away from the man. Made hand seals and fired his lightning release jutsu. Barrage of lightning bullets, Naruto said as he fired 7 large lightning bullets from his mouth in different directions, so that the man couldn't charge from a different angle. It worked as he was able to make a good amount of distance from the Honen, but he got distracted from it when he heard a Rasengan scream and saw that Jiraiya sent one of the Honen backwards with a chakra sphere, and with his Sharingan, he was able to memorize the jutsu. Never lose sight of your enemies, you idiot, the Honen said as he brandished his katana in a side sweep to cut off Naruto's head. Shit, I have to stop him. Naruto roared in his head, and his body moved on autopilot as he crouched down and put forward his right hand, which contained an unstable spiraling chakra sphere. Hitting the Honen, the man shot back, but the damage was nowhere near what Jiraiya had inflicted. But before the man could fight back, a lightning spear pierced his chest, ending his life. Naruto gasped as he tried to calm down and control his nerves. He had never been so close to death before, and it taught him that he should never underestimate or take his mind off his enemy. That was close, damn, I have to get stronger, Naruto thought as he squeezed his right hand and sheathed his tanto. Damn kid, that was close to saving you, are you okay? Jiraiya asked as he approached Naruto after he had finished with his opponents. Yes, I'm fine, Naruto said while as he slowly calmed down. That's good, but since you copied my Rasengan, no other Uchiha could do that, Jiraiya asked, surprised since he had seen Naruto perform the jutsu, although it was incomplete. I don't know exactly, but I think that as the Sharingan can see chakra and gives photographic memory, you can copy jutsu if you can do it by copying the hand seals that control the chakra flow and facilitates the use of jutsu. By reducing the necessary chakra control, copying the jutsu also depends on the user's chakra control. So, as Rasengan is a very high-level chakra control jutsu difficulty, that the Sharingan copies it and makes the user think that it can't be copied when it can, but it requires a very high chakra control. And since I have it, I was able to partially copy it, but that's just my theory about it, and sorry for copying your jutsu. It wasn't my intention, Naruto said while apologizing, and Jiraiya thought in response and sighed. Well, that sounds good, anyway I guess I can teach you the jutsu since you have it halfway. But promise me you won't teach it to anyone else, okay? Jiraiya asked, and Naruto nodded grateful that he had received permission to learn and use the powerful jutsu. Fine, but in exchange for me teaching you that jutsu, you have to help me with my research in the village. Since it's not in the field of Fuinjutsu, Jiraiya said with a smile. And Naruto reluctantly accepted, and he knew that later he was going to have problems with some women. Since the mission is complete, we can leave, boy. Come on, I don't want to waste another second on my research, Jiraiya said with a perverted smile, and ran towards Konoha, and Naruto shook his head. Man, things are definitely going to get really interesting for me in the future, I know. Chapter 3, Invocations Girl, Training and Ambu. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He listened to Naruto repeatedly, while trying to process the situation he had gotten himself into. Flashback scene. It's been almost 2 years since Naruto started his Fuinjutsu training with Jiraiya. and now 9-year-old Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha. He is anxiously waiting sitting outside the office of the Hokage. Naruto heard someone coming in from inside the office and went inside, but was a little surprised to see Jiraiya and Fugaku with the Hokage in his office. Jiraiya was smiling proudly, and Fugaku also had a small proud smile on his face. And the Hokage was giving him a look of approval. "Well, damn kid, it looks like you broke all the records with this one. Even I had doubts that you could pass. But you exceeded all expectations," Jiraiya said with a smile, and Fugaku felt. Then I asked Naruto in a hurry, waiting for the answer. "Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, I, the Hokage, after seeing your exam scores, quest logs, experience, and the recommendations of several experienced Honin, I have decided to promote you to the rank of Honin." "Congratulations," the elder Hokage said, and smiled at the surprised and happy look on the younger Honey's face. "Thank you very much, Hokage-dono. I promise to give my best as a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village," Naruto said with determination and appreciation. "Well, I expect nothing less from you, and I look forward to your future exploits. And finally, since you have now obtained the rank of Honin, you can now make use of the Honin training grounds, the Jutsu Vault. And now you have the privilege of choosing any mission that is below class A," he said. The Hokage and smiled slightly at the happy smile on the young man's face. "Congratulations, Naruto. I am proud to say such a trained young man. He is part of my clan, and as a reward for being promoted, I grant you access to the secret vaults of Uchiha Jutsu," Fugaku said proudly, and Naruto's smile widened at the prospect of being able to learn a new jutsu. "Looks like I'm the only one left to give you something to approve, so here," Jiraiya said as he handed Naruto a scroll. "What is it?" Naruto asked, and Jiraiya already smiled smugly. "That one over there, kid, is an Uzumaki sealing scroll I found on my travels. Only an Uzumaki can open it, so it's yours now." Naruto nodded, thanking the Sannin, and apologized for leaving the office. Later, after walking around the village for a while, Naruto heard some screams from one of the nearby training camps, and decided to see what the cause was, and came across a sight that disgusted him. The training camps around the village were mostly forests and filled with water, trees, so it was not surprising that many animals lived there, but that civilians were not allowed to enter the training camps, as they were reserved only for ninjas. But there, in the clearing of the training camp, there was a group of about 7 civilians kicking a golden fox with 2 tails. "Keep kicking this Kirugi spawn, guys. Come on, we have to make sure he doesn't survive another day," one of the civilians said, and the others immediately agreed and continued beating the bloodied animal. The civilians were about to continue until a force that looked like 15 pounds fell on their heads, and a feeling of dread and despair invaded them. Images of their deaths in multiple painful ways were reproduced in their eyes, and when they turned around, they were met with blood-red eyes with 3 tamo spinning wildly in them. "Get lost," Naruto said ominously, and the civilians ran as if their butts were on fire. Naruto sighed, closed his eyes, and walked slowly towards the injured fox. The fox groaned and tried in vain to get away from Naruto, but failed, and Naruto slowly knelt down before the fox. "Look, I know you've just been hurt by humans, and you don't want to trust me, but please do, because I don't want to hurt you. And I'm going to heal your wounds." As he was saying that, he went through some hand seals, and his hands started glowing with green chakra. And when he took his hands over the wounds, they began to heal. And after 10 minutes, all the fox's wounds were healed. The little fox was very surprised by the kind human's actions, and after Naruto finished, he looked at him and saw him smiling. "You're done. I know the humans hurt you, but I hope you don't hate all of us for just a few retards." And the fox's eyes widened a little at the kind human's words. "Well, okay then, you should probably leave now," Naruto said, but he was surprised when the fox jumped up to him and started saying thank you repeatedly. End of the flashback. Naruto was confused, as he had never met any talking animals before. Of course he had heard about talking ninja summoning, but meeting one was very different. Yeah, it's okay. Would you mind getting off me?" Naruto asked, and the little fox slowly came down and rubbed the back of his head with his tail. Sorry, it's just that I thought I was lost there and then you came. And you saved me, so I'm very grateful, since I didn't want to die on my first visit here, although I slipped away," the fox said shyly. and Naruto got a drop of sweat. Would you mind telling me who and what exactly you are? Naruto asked, and the fox puffed out his chest. My name is Itomi, and I am a kitsune yokai. And the fox said proudly, and Naruto raised an eyebrow with interest. And what is a kitsune yokai? Well, my clan is a kind of demons that look like foxes, and we are very strong physically. And have a great aptitude for illusions and magic, the fox explained, and Naruto was confused by the magic part. Magic? Would you mind explaining it to me? Well, it's similar to what ninjas use, like chakra, but we only use spiritual energy, which makes it easier to control. And versatile, but it's less powerful compared to chakra, Itomi explained. What do you mean by less powerful? Basically, if you create a chakra fireball and a spiritual energy-only fireball and shoot them at each other, the chakra fireball wins because it's much more powerful, do you understand? Itomi asked, and Naruto nodded. That's quite interesting. Well, that aside, why are you here? And you said something about sneaking out. And Tommy sheepishly rubbed the back of his neck with his tails and replied, well, my kind, or rather yokai in general, are not allowed to come here, but I was curious, so I sneaked out to see what this place was like. And Tommy explained and sweated up a drop when he saw Naruto staring at her. What? My species is very curious, you know. Naruto sighed. Okay, but you should have taken someone strong with you to protect yourself. If it wasn't for me, then you could have died. And Tommy snorted in annoyance. Excuse me, but I'm quite strong. Just so you know, the only reason those pathetic people were able to hit me was because I was exhausted after using my magic. To open a portal here. A portal? Well, it's kind of like the summoning that ninjas do, but without the smoke, we basically find a place we want to go. So we use our magic to teleport there. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea, Itomi explained, and Naruto decided to ask about the portal later for now. Well then, why aren't yokai allowed into the elemental nations? I don't know the whole story, but it's kind of an agreement between all the yokai. Without a contract between specific humans and yokai, we can't come here. Right now, the yokai I know that have contracts with humans are the toads, snakes, and slugs yokai. They are low class, though, and by the way, the summoning contract is their way of summoning them. Wait, so you're telling me that the ninja summons Sannin have our yuka, and that they are low class? I do not know who the Sannin are, but if you mean those giant talking toads, and the other two, then yes, we are in the same page. Well, what now? Naruto asked after a moment of silence so he could process the information he had been given. I know you saved me and everything, but I would really appreciate if you could show me around your village a little. Since I've never seen a human before and this whole trip would be useless without even. I don't even see good places, requested Itomi, and Naruto decided to help the fox. Later, after giving Itomi a tour of the village while staying on the rooftops, as the village population had a real dislike for foxes, Naruto decided to take a break in one of the empty parks. Wow, I didn't think a human village would be like this. It's definitely very different from my village, the happy fox said, and Naruto smiled. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the tour. Are you going home now? Naruto asked, and Tommy moved nervously. I don't care, but hey, no. Naruto was thinking. Well, I really like this place, and I'm sure my clan would like it too, but we can't come without a contract. So would you make a summoning contract with my clan? Itomi asked nervously. Although Naruto was surprised by the offer, he also had doubts about the contract. Although I appreciate the offer, I don't understand why me, or even why make a contract with a ninja. You know that we ninjas do a lot of things that are not honorable, and that sometimes we have wars or something similar on a smaller scale. Why? And Tommy smiled smugly. It's quite simple, you see, the eyes. Yokai, we have made a pact to not have wars between us, but we have not established any rules about helping humans to fight. So by fighting humans or other yokai for power, we satiate our craving for battle. While yokai have different species and beliefs, one thing we all have in common is the craving for battle, and besides, what did you think the other summoned ninjas do contracts? We don't do it just to be nice, Itomi finished with a bloodthirsty smile, and Naruto got a drop of sweat. English, come to think of it, I've never heard of why ninja summons make contracts. Contracts in the first place, even when they don't have to, so that's why, I guess it's a mystery solved, since it makes sense. Summonses are almost always used in large-scale battles. All this aside, I need to think about the pros and cons of this contract. If I make the contract, then I get fox summons, and I might even get special jutsus or knowledge they may have. But the disadvantages are that a lot of people in Konoha will be afraid of me having fox summons because of the Kirugi. If the word gets out and other villages, they might target me for my contract, but in the end I guess it's worth it, so I might as well make the contract. Naruto thought seriously, and made his decision, and accepted the contract. Great. But there is a small complication, Itomi said, and Naruto was curious. And what would it be? Naruto asked, and Itomi laughed a little uncomfortably. Well, you have to get the head of the clan to accept you as our summoner, and well, it's not easy to impress her. Well, then I'll have to pass a test. It's more like he'll stare at you for a minute, and you'll decide if you're worth his time or not. Oh, I think I can handle that, Naruto said, a little confused as to how. As the clan chief would put him to the test just by looking at him, but he shrugged his shoulders since he assumed that yokai had different shapes than humans. Well, that's the spirit. Now that I have enough Yuki to send a signal to my mom, she can come here to test you. Itomi said with energy and started using her Yuki. It was a visible violet color. A stamp made with Yuki appeared under his paws for a few seconds before vanishing. A minute of silence later, a cloud of smoke formed. As it dissipated, a six-tailed golden fox appeared 3 times larger, bigger than a tiger, and stared at them. Well, and Tommy, could you tell me where you ran to and who this human is? The giant fox asked him with a serious tone, and Naruto felt a little nervous. Hey, well, it's a long story, Mom, why? Tommy said awkwardly. I have time, so explain yourself, the fox replied, and Tommy explained her situation, of how she came to the human kingdom, and how she was attacked by dumb humans, but Naruto quickly saved and healed her, and also gave her a tour of his village. And after she was done, she was scolded for a good 15 minutes for her stupidity, and that she would never come back to visit her if he ever did it again. And after the fox finished lecturing Itomi, he turned his attention back to Naruto. First of all, I want to thank you for saving my daughter, and secondly, I will introduce myself. I am Ikari, chief of the Kitsune clan, Ikari said in a regal style, worthy only of royalty. Don't think anything about it, Ikari Dono replied Naruto respectfully, and Ikari smiled a little at his polite but confident voice. It was very rare to find a human who didn't pee his pants or stutter in front of her, and that was something. Now, Itomi told me that you want to make a summoning contract with our clan. Yes, I would really appreciate it if you could make me your summoner, Naruto said determinedly, and Ikari smiled a little at his attitude. Well, let's see if you're worthy or not, Ikari said while squinting at Naruto. Naruto himself felt as if she was looking at his soul, but he didn't show any fear. After a minute, Ikari asked, Okay, turn on your chakra a little. Naruto simply nodded, and did as he was told, as it was probably part of the test. And when he turned on his chakra, a sky blue cloak covered his body in the form of lightning. Just like the aura of the Super Saiyan in Deeb. Even though Naruto's is sky blue. Ikari's eyebrows rose in surprise at the incredibly strong and dense chakra that the young boy was emitting. And amazing, I've never seen chakra so dense or strong in a human. Even the strongest yokai don't have such a strong Yuki. Strong, and an even more surprising fact is that he seems to be getting stronger. This human is definitely special and different from everyone else, Ikari thought, calculating. Okay, that's enough, I've made my decision. You are acceptable to become our summoner, Ikari said, and Naruto stopped. Immediately surprised by the statement, that's it. You don't even know my name, my motives, or which village I come from, and yet you accept me as your summoner so easily. Naruto asked in shock, because he couldn't believe his luck or the absurdity of the situation, since what was just a walk? It became an invocation. We don't care about your heritage, your village, or your goals. What we are looking for in a summoner is someone strong, both physically and spiritually, who is faithful to us, and gives us the opportunity to fight and prove our worth. You have proved to be more than worthy. How did you consider me worthy just by looking at me? Naruto asked, perplexed. The eyes are the windows of the soul, young man, and I saw that you have a very strong one, Ikari said wisely. And I checked your memories, and I have to admit that you are a very strong individual, Naruto Uchiha. And you will continue to get stronger, Ikari thought, and exhaled a stream of fire from his mouth, and when the flames disappeared, there on the ground, there was an oversized crimson-colored scroll with a blue flame design on it. This is our invocation scroll. Sign your name on it with your blood, and make your mark too, and you will become our summoner, Ikari said. And Tommy jumped for joy because Naruto succeeded, and Naruto himself smiled. After he finished writing his name and making his handprint, Ikari checked the scroll and nodded. And the scroll disappeared in a cloud of smoke. All right, so from this day on Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, you are our summoner, and you will have our help. Also as a side note, I will summon you sometime later to our kingdom so we can teach you some of our skills and techniques, Ikari said, and Naruto smiled at the prospect of learning new techniques and jutsu. It was one of her favorite things after all. Very well. I knew you could come through Mom's test and become our summoner. It's great that we finally have a summoner, and besides, such a good and strong one. Itomi exclaimed, and Naruto arched an eyebrow in surprise. Your clan has never had a summoner before. No, you will be the first summoner, and I hope you will spread the name and the power of our clan to all elemental nations and summoning realms, Ikari said, and Naruto nodded determinedly. Hey mom. Is it okay with you that it's the usual invocation of Naruto? Please, I promise I won't cause him any problems, Itomi begged, and Ikari looked at Naruto. Will you accept her as your partner? I may not know his skills or fighting style, but I have a feeling that we can get along and be a good team, so yes. Naruto said, and Tommy jumped up and hugged him for joy, while Ikari felt impressed by Naruto's intelligence. I guess I'll be a summoner from today, Naruto said with pride and excitement as he looked at the happy and Tony jumping and the smiling Ikari. Later. Then let me get this straight. Not only were you promoted to Honin, and you are now the youngest Honin in Konoha history, but you also got the fox summoning contract himself. Itachi said with face would be while looking at Naruto, who was sitting quietly on a cushion, drinking some pineapple juice and nodded. Damn, Shisui said as he looked at Naruto and felt a little envious of the prodigious Uchiha. But he also felt a little happy about the fact that he was from his own clan. And he wasn't arrogant about his success or ability. Shisui was also an Uchiha and was about the same age as Naruto and Itachi. He was a Chunin, just like Itachi, and was also considered a prodigy. Shisui and Itachi were friends at first, and he later met Naruto shortly after the Chunin exams. The two became good friends after a while. Later, Naruto and Itachi formed a trio with Shisui, and the youngsters spent most of their time together when they had free time. While Naruto and Itachi were friendly rivals, Itachi and Shisui were best friends. As they both had a lot in common, as they were both pacifists by nature, and loved the village and the clan very much. So they got along quite well. While Naruto was different, as he loved to train, fight and challenge himself, and he only felt love for the clan. As he considered the whole clan his family, but he was neutral with everyone else. So, Naruto has other amazing feats that we should know about. Shisui asked after taking a sip of his tea, while the three boys were relaxing near a pond in the Uchiha district. And just as Shisui finished his question, a cradle and hit the ground about a meter from the boys and the three got ready for battle, but when they saw Konoha's insignia on the scroll attached to the scroll, and the Ambu standing on the tree, looking at them expectantly, they relaxed their guard a little. We could see what's inside, Naruto said as he took the scroll and read the contents and sighed. Then what is it? Shisui asked, and Naruto threw the scroll at him. Does that answer your question? Naruto asked sarcastically. Shisui read the scroll, and his eyes opened with surprise. What is so surprising, Shisui? Hitachi asked while looking from Shisui's shoulder and looking at the scroll himself, and his eyes. They opened up comically for the surprise as well. Naruto Uzumaki Uchiha, you are formally invited to join the elite Ambu Corps of Kanawagakure no Sato. You have 72 hours to accept or reject the offer, the Ambu said as he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Damn, I'm full of surprises today, aren't I? Naruto said with a smile, and both Hitachi and Shisui sweated a drop at that. Now we can add something unpredictable to his personality, I guess, Hitachi said with a would-be face. So, are you going to join Lambu? Shisui asked. Why not? Naruto asked with a smile. Chapter 4. Demon Angel. The snow is falling in the village hidden among the leaves. A rare event, since it doesn't usually snow in Konoha, and most of the population of the village is grateful, as it is a nice break from the constant heat or humid temperature that the village usually has. The forests around and inside the village are completely covered in white from all the snow. And all the trees have lost their leaves due to the season, and even the ninjas are thankful as there would be less problems to track down any spies trying to infiltrate the village. In general, most of the villagers were happy about the great blessing of snow in their village, well, except for one specific and special person, who was silently cursing the snow for falling on the damnation. From the fire of all places, a little girl can be seen walking through the busy and cold streets of Konoha, a little blonde girl probably 5 years old, but quite short and petite for her age. The girl has the most beautiful golden hair tied in 2 messy tails with a heart-shaped face, ocean blue eyes, and 3 distinctive mustaches as markings on her cheeks. As for his clothes, he was wearing a pair of worn dark blue trousers and a long-sleeved red shirt with blue sandals. Pretty light clothes for someone who wears them when it's really cold, but looking at the worn state of his clothes, it wouldn't take a genius to guess that he probably can't afford anything better. The little girl, despite her clothes and her